Hello. Thanks for joining this series on the topics of OAuth 2.0 and OpenID Connect using Layer 7's API management. This video will utilize the Layer 7 API Management Gateway, and we will install and configure the OAuth Toolkit, which will provide access to OAuth 2.0 and the OpenID Connect specifications. Layer 7 API Management offers a complete full lifecycle API planning and deployment solution from the initial design and creation all the way to securing client consumption and observability throughout an enterprise's API platform. Today's topic really spans all stages of the API lifecycle and is critical for both the security design and planning, as well as end client user integrations and reporting. In this standard deployment topology, we show numerous deployment instances of API gateways, our Blaze CT platform, and other components possibly running on a variety of platforms and network zones. The OAuth solution, shown as the OAuth Toolkit in the center of the screen, spans multiple deployments and provides a consistent client and token validation across this complex production environment. For simplicity in this video, we'll be showing an all-in-one base deployment just using a single gateway image and a single configuration of our OAuth Toolkit. In this video, we'll show how to implement OAuth 2.0 as both a resource server as well as an authorization and token server. The demo relies on the Layer 7 OAuth Toolkit to deploy and manage the template for this solution and all the components shown here. We'll show a sample API client negotiate the end user's credentials to the authorization server in exchange for an OAuth access token. The client application will then proceed to access protected and sensitive APIs through the resource server, which will validate the presented access token. The Layer 7 API Management OAuth Toolkit offers a template implementation of the entire OAuth specification, to which an enterprise simply attaches existing applications, keys, client credentials, and enterprise identity providers. OAuth Authorization Framework initially began in 2006 at Twitter. Now, OAuth 2.0 was formalized in RFC 6749 in October of 2012 as an open standard for authorization. It delegates limited access to client applications against protected API resources on behalf of the resource owner. The limited access is typically configured using client scopes. Specific authorization flows called grant types exist for web or desktop and mobile clients. This video will focus on the authorization code grant type, but other videos will focus on the other grant types and extensions that we have shown here. All right, let's quickly review the authorization code flow for familiarity. Here is a simple sequence diagram showing the interaction between the resource owner, the client, the authorization and token servers, and the protected API's resource server. All right. In this case, we're going to simulate an end user on their computer trying to access Acme Warehouse Client. The user uses their browser and logs in, and Acme Warehouse is synced to use an authorization server. In this example, we're going to use social login, so it'll redirect to a service like Facebook or Google. But in the demo we're going to show, we'll be using an all-in-one deployment using the Layer 7 OTK as both the authorization server as well as the resource server. When the user clicks on the login button, a 302 redirect sends the browser to the social login location where the authorization server, in this case of Google, presents the authorization page to the end user. The end user will enter the credentials and be authorized and sent a redirect with the authorization code back to the client. The client then receives the authorization code and proceeds to send it with its client ID to the authorization server in exchange for an OAuth access token. Now in this flow, the authorization code flow, the Acme Warehouse client was never presented with the end user's credentials. Provides a bit more sensitivity and safety than some of the other grant types that we'll explore. Now that the access token has been issued and provided to the warehouse client, the user is logged in, and the client can use this access token on subsequent calls to APIs for protected resources. If one of those APIs happens to be a user info endpoint, the access token can be exchanged for claims that are authorized through the client scopes. Next, let's take a look at the installation and configuration of the OAuth toolkit in the API gateway.